that stuff really triggered me. Some of you might ask, what does that even mean? Getting triggered, what is that like? What does that really look or feel like? A quick definition of what it means to be triggered. There are various explanations across several English dictionaries. However, here is a quick interpretation of the word. Being triggered denotes something that happens as a result of a certain stimulus, which sometimes could be considered unfavorable or bad. Most people who feel triggered will tell you they felt a rush of negative sensations that throws them off emotional balance at the time it happens. Usually, in most occasions, it's a fleeting moment. It might last a few seconds for some. For others, it could extend to minutes or longer. It is mostly circumstantial. The source of the trigger can be a space. Assuming the individual walks into an environment that happens to be a trigger. For some, coming across a body of water, be it a pool or a lake, can set off those triggers. To some, what triggers them could be fellow human beings, male or female. Sometimes a source of a trigger can be a behavior from someone else. Other times it could be a conversation, a song, a laughter, a voice, a dish or meal that just got served by a waiter, or even an item. In this century, listening to the news over the television or radio has become a source of trigger, causing varying degrees of dread. The next question will be, why are all these triggers? You might say, I experience all these situations presented, but do not feel triggered as described. An underlying factor to why this happens, majority of the time, is due to trauma. This could range from emotional trauma, with accompanying physical abuse of any form. Sometimes, the cause of the intense feeling can be traced back to a childhood experience that was so overwhelming that led one to sweep or bury the memory of the painful events to a subconscious location in the mind, where it is supposedly easily forgotten and not readily remembered. However, that emotional intense feeling that was suffered during the original pain gets jolted out, reawakened, provoked, resulting in a very unpleasant realization that the memory never really disappeared, but rather had been hidden for so long. Another interesting source or origin of being triggered can be self-acquired. Interestingly, we pick up certain habits as we grow and begin to lay undue emphasis on certain issues, unknowingly training our bodies and minds to react in certain ways. The impacts of the trigger can cause numerous roller coaster events that range from flashbacks, severe feeling of panic, an overwhelming feeling of helplessness, increased heart rate, evoking strong negative emotions and even manifesting physically, in different forms such as sudden paralysis of a part of the body. If these feelings are prolonged, could result in nightmares, distressing and miserable sentiments. Moving forward, the next question will be, how do we address this? How does this get resolved? What can one do to help? Before attempting to resolve this, it is important to recognize these situations. Here are 5 tips to help with this. The first tip, in identifying what this trigger looks like or is to you. Reflect, and try to assess what situations cause you to feel or act in such a way as to feel or become triggered. Acknowledging what the trigger is to you is a huge step towards control and subsequent resolution. Journal these occasions, make notes, keep a diary if you have to. Focus on recognizing exactly how you felt, notice how your emotions changed in reaction to the triggering situation or incident. Assess to see if you were in a specific headspace or mood when you encountered the triggering stimuli. Note or jot down all these, to the smallest detail. While trying to identify what these triggers are, and recognizing how they make you feel, notice if there is a specific pattern to the triggered moments. The second tip is developing what you would call or refer to as your safety plan. A safety plan provides a scheme of events or a plan of action that one can take to overcome that moment of intense triggered emotions and sentiments. The question, how can I minimize my reaction to this triggering event, will help in self-evaluating the degree of response evoked. Figure out what you think will help you out of this situation whenever it's actively going on. Would breathing deeply help? Will staying calm and intentionally but mentally refocusing my emotions on something peaceful happening around me help? Would staying seated and focusing on the wall or some picture frame help me rein in on my emotional storm at that time? Coming up with a safety plan prior helps. The third tip would be a conscious effort at practicing self-nurturing and self-care. We intentionally care for our bodies by exfoliating, showering, moisturizing, and sunscreen applications. There must be a way to apply some measure of care to how we think and feel. Am I kind and patient with myself? Do I need to figure out what activities elevate my mood? How often do I need to reach out? How often do I feel I would need to make positive affirmations about myself? Do I need to work on loving myself more? Do I need to remind myself more often that I am worthy of joy? How can I implement physical exercises to help me? How much meditation do I need, and how often would I need to meditate? These questions and more should help in tackling this portion of recognizing these triggers. The fourth tip, which is paramount to helping put this feeling of being triggered under control, is setting boundaries. Yes, boundaries. We protect our homes, our yards, and our farms with fences, barricades, railings, hedges, and shrubs, to mention but a few. Why shouldn't we do the same for our mental spaces? Take the time to figure out what your limits are. We need to be honest and truthful to ourselves to correctly identify what our mental ceilings are. Furthermore, we need to ask ourselves, do I overthink? It's important to examine our reasons for overthinking, be sincere with ourselves, and halt the process if it's adding no value. The fifth tip to consider, in recognizing the feeling of being triggered, is to make the bold move to actually seek professional assistance to help recognize what the whole phenomenon of being triggered actually looks like to you. Specifically, as an individual, your experiences are unique to you. It is very dangerous to assume what the problem or origin of the issue is, based on what someone else has identified as their own triggers. Professional help is fundamental and significantly critical to recognizing there is a reason you get a feeling of being triggered. Love yourself enough to find and request professional assistance and guidance. Change the professional individual if you do not feel you are being helped. Stay committed when you find a professional who is able to effectively help you. Quick note, as you watch and recall your own specific encounters, kindly leave your comments in the comments section below. Share your experiences and what has successfully helped you. Your comments can be the source of encouragement someone else needs to see and read to actually make and take the decision towards the next step to healing. At this juncture, here are a number of suggestions you can sift through on how to respond to the feeling of being triggered. The first suggestion is to take deep breaths. Pause. Really pause, and take those deep breaths like they are so valuable, as of course, each breath is. Tuning your mind to the breaths you take, focusing on taking in all that oxygen at each deep breath, and feeling the air flow through your nostrils and even your mouth. The second suggestion in responding to the feeling of being triggered is to bring to mind the fact that you are physically safe now, that you are not going through the trauma at this very moment. Hold on to that as you calm down. True, the trigger is making you relive the negative emotions all over again. However, remind yourself that this is just a trigger, not the original negative event or the trauma itself. This would help with grounding yourself. The third suggestion that can help with managing response to triggers is repeating affirmations to self. There is an inner mind power that comes from positively affirming yourself, beginning with the phrase, I am. This encompasses deliberate self-nurturing and self-care efforts. The fourth suggestion, to assist with managing a response to being triggered, is to invest in developing a habit of meditation. The benefits of acknowledging a special time for oneself cannot be overemphasized. The quiet time can be accompanied with a soothing music, or any genre of your choice. The aim of meditating is to plan and set time aside for you. This affords you the time to learn and reflect on your thought processes. It also helps you come to the knowledge of what your limits are. Meditating amplifies the understanding of oneself and boosts your well-being and happiness in life. The fifth suggestion to help manage the feeling of being triggered has been alluded to earlier but remains significant. Seek professional help. Let a trained licensed professional guide you with relevant treatment protocols to effectively help you manage your emotions and feelings around being triggered. Do not wait until your daily life is being negatively impacted by these triggering situations before getting professional help. At this point, before we continue, remember to leave your comments below, like and share this video to someone who may need to hear it. Liking this video stores it for easy reach in your liked folder. Now, going forward, always bear in mind that getting triggered is not an abnormal response. There is nothing weird about experiencing or encountering this. You are responding to a sudden remembrance, or a reminiscence, of an absolutely traumatic and devastating past incident or events. The original event was harrowing, and clearly left deep emotional scars that had been subconsciously concealed for so long, and have not fully been aired, cleaned, and properly bandaged. But thank goodness, we now have ways to minimize, and subsequently successfully manage, and eliminate the distressing emotions such memories evoke. You deserve to be joyful. There is a golden nugget of wisdom we hope you try. It is forgiveness. Forgive yourself, forgive those who hurt you. Let the pain and hurt float off of you. You are worthy of a joyful and wholesome life now, today, and always. Be encouraged and take advantage of all the tips and suggestions offered throughout this video. Love yourself enough to take good care of yourself. Again, everyone is unique. No two people are the same. Discover what works best for you. Be patient with yourself. It is of utmost importance that we reiterate that the role of a healthy, balanced diet cannot be downplayed. A healthy body complements and supports a healthy mind, and enhances a healthy and wholesome living. Never hesitate to seek professional help as soon as it is needed. Now, go on. I wish you good health.